그대가 알아요. 지금 동영이 굴리고 있는데.
그래? 되게 어려워 보이는데? 그냥 푸퍼 컨트롤도 아니고.
맞아요. 그 뭐지 터마노클 쓰는 덱이잖아.
네.
맞아요. 동영이 있어요.
뭐가 이상하다. 동영이 거 굴려요?
네. 뭐? 터마노클 컨트롤.
네, 킵이요.
Alright, as the #1 seed, InHyeok will play first. Looks like they both kept hands, and InHyeok will start with the slowest possible start for this Loam deck. This guy often plays Mox Diamond first thing in the game, discards some fetch, plays a Savannah, makes a Chalice on one, etc. Against Food Chain here, the Chalice is not going to be all that great. There are really few situations when it will really lock them out. They have a lot of varied casting costs, and when you Chalice on one against a bug base deck, it's not going to take too long for them to decay it. With full grips for both players, I'd expect the lone player to just lead on Dark Confidant. And he has it, so that's a really nice source of card advantage here. And depending on the hand, Food Chain doesn't actually have that much removal, so he may opt to completely ignore it, especially knowing that this is a non-blue matchup. I think he's probably content to try to race for the fastest Food Chain that he can get. And InHyeok laughs here. He always has the same reaction when people fetch basics against him. He's always like, "What? Why are you scared? I only have 4 Wastelands and a bunch of life from the Loams."
아 진짜?
So we will reset the game to 0 creatures in play, and InHyeok will not get his extra draw off the Dark Confidant. The draw for the turn was Sylvan Library, and that's another nice juicy Abrupt Decay target. But I believe that's going to resolve. I believe that is not going to resolve. That is quite a powerful card. There's probably little else that Jung would need to force in this matchup besides maybe late game Knight of the Reliquary, especially with that Thespian stage already out. So here comes a Strix, which you'll probably need to fade a naturally drawn Merit Lage for turn 4 here. But that's just a temporary answer. And I was surprised when he had to force pitching a Baleful Strix. He only did it because he had an additional one in his hand. But the Baleful Strix here is a 1-turn roadblock for a Merit Lage, which is definitely going to get created at the end step. In game 1, there's no reason for InHyeok to be very conscientious of any edict effect here. And Jung could manage to find a Food Chain with this 3rd mana for the turn. Or he could maybe, I don't know, ponder a little bit more and try to see if he can block for 1 turn and then start creating this holography or something next turn. Now that he's got 3 basics out there, if he can just create enough flyers to fade Merit Lage every turn, then he can comfortably wait around until he gets the guys he needs into exile on a Food Chain. By the way, I think that this is the full 4 Walking Ballista version. He's not going to play with any of those goofy tutor up a Emrakul sort of things. So, as expected, InHyeok will make a Merit Lage on the end step. And he shows the removal spell, so we're going to quickly go to game 2 here. Jung knew he was dead to that, but there's nothing you can really do. It appears that looking back, if he had allowed the Sylvan Library to resolve, and he had an additional Strix in hand, then he would have been okay that turn. And who's to say how much value the Sylvan Library would eventually get? The answer is probably a lot, but I mean, now we're dead. And we had a Food Chain on board, so it's possible that we only needed another turn. going to go to game number 2 and see what our bug player on the left can do. Looks like he can mulligan. And InHyeok, the all-star, not mulliganing at all today. He's got his eyes on the big prizes at the end of the tournament. Like a foil Wasteland, a Korean Aluren, a Korean Natural Order, a Trinisphere Invention, a, I don't know, foil Abrupt Decay, Stoneforge Mystic, Korean Manabond, etc. There's some good cards.
베이직을 찾아오기 위한 그분의
방금 노랜데였거든요.
아 베이직을 찾아오기 위한 그분의 강렬한 의지가 느껴졌습니다.
I have to be honest, I'm not sure what Jung will decide in this matchup. But maybe we'll see shortly as he goes to 6 and takes a look. He sighs and says keep, and forgets his scry. Looks like a pretty land heavy hand without a Mox. Jung realizes that he forgot his scry. It's not a good feeling. So the rampening has begun. We'll find Dryad Arbor here and pass back. Pretty slow start. Because he had no way of killing that Death Roach. We could come up with a lot of mana this turn. Or we could attack for 1. But now we're wide open to the Dryad Arbor beats. What are we doing? Oh, maybe InHyeok doesn't need to win this turn. He's already got a 4. So we're going to cut the Food Chain player off of his blue mana, and then cast a Mox Diamond, which will get rid of an irrelevant Verdant Catacombs. I believe I saw Dark Depths in hand, so this knight could probably shuffle away Dryad Arbor. Scratch that. That knight will not be finding anything. Waste your blue source again and cast a Liliana? Gross, man. Very gross. So we're working our way down to 0 permanents on board. See if we can get our life total updated here. So Manipulate Fate is probably going to grab Eternal Scourge, Mistall, and Mistall, and then draw a card. We'll see if he can find a stream of lands, maybe Food Chain to go along with. And we are short a green or a black source to decay the Liliana. The deck is also really light on attacking creatures, so I mean it's hard to peck a Liliana to death when she is going to tick up to 2 next turn, and we've got nothing already on board. So this Lily may live. The Dryad Arbor is also on blocking if necessary, so I don't know. He's got all the mana he needs. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dark Depths here. Oh, is that Mistall Griffin in the graveyard? That's not where it's supposed to be. Okay. That is gross. This game has completely gotten away from Jung. It's unlikely that he's going to find a way to deal with the Liliana.
컴백. 선택.
Uncastable Walking Ballista hits the ban. And I think Liliana is going to take the day here. She can't be answered by an opponent on just basic island. It's an impossibility. And perhaps just being a good sport, Jung is playing it out. Perhaps just because he is 0-1 right now. So I mean, if he manages to get back in this, like, is there a Dark Depths in InHyeok's hand or not? I think he needs green and black here. So just Swamp isn't gonna cut it for what he's trying to do. Unless we only had one Bayou and we lost it. Okay. So we settle on just Swamp. He's really far behind here, but maybe my call for a concession was way too abrupt. He's mounting a comeback. He's got a bird.
He's got cards in hand. I have I think the fact that Brea's indestructible is kind of oh no,
I think the sacrifice is totally reasonable here. The Eternal Witness is winning the game. But first he offers the trade.
yeah, if he hits an overrun effect, that might be done.
And he'll probably, I guess he's disregarding the owl. Yep.
어킥 때마다 일씩 지불 안 하면 파괴돼요.
So since the owl is only 1 point a turn, he decides that he doesn't care about killing it. He can get rid of it at his leisure when he needs to.
어킥 때요.
And our lone player owes 2 mana here, so the Dryad Arbor pays for itself. And the stage pays for the wins. Wait, why? He decides that the Dryad Arbor is not paying for itself? He just wants to let it go? I don't understand. If we took 2 last turn, I don't see us blocking, but we decide to block. Maybe he didn't intend on paying the 1 mana for it. And he lets a food chain go. I think last turn he was looking for a Bayou so that he could cast food chain, but it wasn't in his deck. But he doesn't have any... Okay, I understand. So Thespian Stage copied Dryad Arbor at some point, and he paid 2 mana to keep 2 creatures and let the original Dryad Arbor go originally. My apologies. now everybody's got nothing.
8점이
Except for InHyeok with a Liliana ready to ultimate and take 1 or 2 permanents from Jung here. And I think this has to be food chain. Okay, go. So he has to ultimate Lily here, because if he lets him untap and possibly cast Eternal Scourge or something, then he can generate as much mana as he needs. Of course, Food Chain is, and I'm going to be biased here, but it's weaker than Aluren, because Food Chain is Abrupt Decayable, basically. He decides to keep all of his lands. Well, some of his lands. And we can cast Eternal Scourge from Exile this turn because we found a land. We also pass the turn back with an untapped creature, and the Lily can only take up, and we have 0 cards in hand. And we're changing our mind again. Maybe does he have another tropical island? Oh, okay. It was the Misty that allows us to get our last basic.
아, 제가 있었구나. 네? 어킵 때 이걸로 지불할게요. 네. 이거 있어.
Yeah, Rift Zone Portal is in the graveyard, so Tabernacle can tap it. So he pays for his death right.
들어갈게요.
And finds Abrupt Decay. Is that relevant? Not really. No. If you want to tick up the... I mean, this doesn't make any sense. I guess the play is... Yeah, don't do anything with Liliana. Now you can Abrupt Decay the Scourge. And he'll go to Exile. Food Chain is doing it. Everybody. Food Chain is... Food Chain is mounting a comeback, and he's going to start removing cards that he doesn't want to draw to manipulate fate. Such as a fetch land with no targets, and a Thoughtseize against an empty-handed opponent. He's now looking through his library for the 3rd worst card in his deck. I wonder what it is. Okay.
같은 걸 제거해도 되는 거죠, 당연히. 네? 같은 걸 제거하면 되는 거죠?
네네. 근데 없을 거 아니라 무조건 저 제거.
If we find another land, then we can cast Mist Hollow Griffin. If we find Food Chain, we can cast that. If we don't find anything relevant, we cast Eternal Scourge, which might be the play anyway.
어킵 때 이거 지불할게요. 들어갈게요.
Okay. That is it dead or not? He's gonna cast Scourge again. I think that Polluted Delta has the chance. I didn't see him go through that many tropical islands, but maybe for budget reasons he's not playing as many as I expect. I think if it still had targets, he would not have removed the Polluted Deltas from the game with Manipulate Fate.
이건 플레이하신 거죠?
네, 캐스트한 거예요.
아, 요거.
아, 네, 플레이한 거예요.
받을까요? 네, 지불. 네. 들어갈게요.
Deathred is going to finish the game really quickly here. I feel like Food Chain had an out or 5, and was really, really close this game. He was close to being able to deal with that Lily, and I mean, if he finds Abrupt Decay for this Deathrite Shaman, then he can win this game. Now he only has one more on tap. I guess InHyeok forgetting about his own Tabernacle is he picks up a card that is not removable for Deathrite and has to concede the game. InHyeok will move on. We have our finals coming up, and I guess it will be lands versus loam. So Hongdae tradition continues. Nothing but loam.
어떡하지? 관심 있는 사람 없나? 그러니까 나도 지금 황해 아니면 엠라쿨인데 왠지 나도